years, I started this session. Um, okay, let me start other way. We are part of MFIRD group, and MFIRD is like Millet Foundation for Industry Research and Development. This is basically uh, people with similar interests, where we all get together, and the main objective is how can we give back to the community with the abilities that we have been blessed with, kind of a thing. So with that intention, we started some 4 or 5 years ago, where professionals with similar interest, mostly uh, engineers, they came up, and then we started this. And at that point of a time, I remember 7 years before, there was a particular time in 2017 where there were mass layoffs happening in the market. Okay. And and over the period of multiple companies or multiple periods, many people from many companies were laid off, and a need was felt that we guide or we discuss among ourselves how we can, what may be the reason for these layoffs, and how can we be current in the market so that we are safe from this kind of a situation. And that is one thing. And at that time, we started this something called the upskilling series. And I have given this session almost 4 to 5 times over the last 5, 6 years. And also I conduct the career counseling sessions every Sunday. But exception, for the last 4 months, I've been conducting this session, career counseling sessions. I gave this session, switching to IT careers, or IT career paths with even non-IT background. Many people are facing, or wanting to have a better opportunities, and they thought of switching over to IT career paths, and and how do we switch over to IT career path with a non-IT background was obviously students or people who are from an IT background, they definitely know how to come into IT background. But at the same time, people with non-IT background, how can they come and pursue an IT career path was the main idea. And at that point of time, as I told you, right, in 2017, there were mass layoffs, in the companies. It's not that only that particular time. It was also before that, also people were getting laid off from the companies. But at that particular instance, what happened is it became very public in the sense people getting laid off from the companies, that company coming into news okay, for example, company X has laid off 700 people from their company. So it kind of became a public, and from that time onwards, it became a trend with the news saying that this company is laying off 400 people, this company is laying off 500, this company is laying off 1,000, and more so than ever. Last year, you might have seen many companies where this kind of a news is coming. Okay, the the topic for the session that I gave is time to switch to an IT career. It's very similar to what we did before as well. There's nothing, though the name of the session. This is my old presentation. I just using the old presentation that I gave. So it's basically how can we pursue an IT career with an even non-IT background is the idea. Okay. And another thing is there are two class of people, if I have to address. One is the students who are coming out of colleges, and they immediately land in a situation where they have um, um, where they very happily concluded their engineering, and they are hoping that we do get into a job, uh, coming immediately out of the college, and they do find things different, or if I have to say, they find challenges which they haven't expected, kind of a thing. And it kind of brings them into a lot of pressure, both from a family perspective, like, you did complete your engineering and now you are not able to get a job. So what may be the kind of a situation? And most of it becomes a kind of a cultural thing in our Indian families, that, people start poking into why you haven't got a job even after you completed your engineering, those kind of a thing. And, most of our relatives are least concerned about, like, what is happening in the market and all those things. So it becomes a very pressing issue from a mental health perspective. Like, we go through a lot of emotions, and we uh, we feel like, we haven't done something, or it's a mistake from my side that, I couldn't get a job. And people start blaming their own selves, blaming themselves, and then they go into a lot of pressure. And it's very common. Like, most of the students, they come out of the college, and the kind of if I had to say, challenges or struggles immediately after coming out of the college is very, very common. And it's just that we need to understand, like, what is the how to deal with this kind of a situation, right? And how to get over this situation is what the idea is. I hope I'll give you an example. Okay. I did my engineering back in 98. After that, I did my master's. I went to US to do my master's. Okay. When I did my master's, it was 2000 period at that time. And, you all will understand, people going to do masters in outside countries like in US, UK, Australia, kind of a thing. They have a very happy life, kind of a thing. But at that point of time, like, dot-com doom happened, like, and, even after completing masters, like, we were very few from our college, that went outside, as part of whole groups, we went outside. And even after completing masters, I was jobless for almost 1 year. And wherever I go, that, I did my masters in this particular area with Java as my background computer programming language. And, nobody was considering my resume at that point of time. And it happened so that, I was only with a very few dollars, if I had to say $10 in my pocket for the rest of 1 year. No money to call back home as well, and no money to eat. But it was not that, we went through very, very difficult situation. We were seeing how our seniors used to struggle getting a job. Like, as soon as they completed their masters, we used to support them because we had a part-time job on the campus, just a matter of eating 3 times a day and having a shelter, kind of a thing. So we used to support them. And as we got out of the college, and somehow, they struggled for 5 to 6 months, and, like, they got into a job, and we were with them at that point of time. Like, I clearly remember, um, we were with, I was all the way at home cooking for my seniors, and trying all day, trying and looking and trying to pursue jobs and trying to upskill myself, trying to upgrade myself with respect to skills, brush up my skills and try to apply for any job that I can go. And, like, as I said, even after completing masters, like, I was jobless for 1 year. This is a very common situation that happens. Okay. And even for example, um, Moinud, yes, it didn't start. And anyway, after that, that's one situation that I wanted to give you an example. And after that, what happened is, like, I came back um, to India permanently for good, and I joined the company here. And I'm talking about 2005 situation, where at that point of time, um, uh, our company decided that, they would hire 300 freshers from the campus. and a notice was put out, that we were going to hire 300 freshers from the college. Anybody who is planning to, who has completed their engineering from this particular background and from this particular background, they can come and apply. And there will be an open test that will be conducted, and after that, interview process will happen. And a particular date was decided, and a particular college was decided where, we will conduct that exam. And we expected somewhere around, you know, 300 jobs was there, fresher jobs were there. We expected somewhere around 2,000 to 3,000 people would come and write that job. And it so happened that, 25,000 students came to attend that job exam. Okay. It was not expecting. Imagine in a city, in a college, 25,000 students coming at one place, and we're talking about freshers, and all these freshers were like with fresh ambitions of getting into a job. And even the parents came out, imagine one student with two parents at least, if they're coming and standing outside the campus. So you think about 60 to 70,000 people turned out, and they were standing outside the college so that we can give it to them. And it was really became a mess. And because we were not prepared at that point of a time to handle that much of crowd, and we thought maybe 300 jobs, so probably we might expect 10 times more, 3,000. So we prepared with 3,000 test papers, but 25,000 students came at that point of a time was something that was unimaginable at that time. I'm talking about 2005 situation. Okay. So anyway, to cut the short, what happened is we had to, a lot of commotion happened. We had to tell them that, we would conduct the exam, and we took all the candidates' information, and we had to conduct the exam over the period of next 4 to 5 weeks continuously for each of them. And then, there was a very scrutiny happened from that point of time, and hiring 3,000 freshers was something it was a long process. So what I'm trying to say is even after coming out of college, it becomes a challenge. Okay. That is one situation. The two kinds of people that I said, right? One is the people who immediately come out of a college and they start looking for a job. That's one situation. And the second situation that we are currently going through, right from 2017, was mass layoffs are happening, where people with working experience, and they are getting laid off from their companies, from their positions, right? Uh, it's so common that nowadays you might have been hearing news this company is hiring, laying off 200 people, they're hiring off 2,000 people, and you know uh, this kind of a bad situations are happening, right? So uh, so uh, why I'm saying it's good time for a career at this point of a time, right? I mean, you might have seen my invite, right, where we invited this time to switch to an IT career. Why I'm saying it's a good time to switch over is one prime reason is, for example, if you look at the history of the times, right? um, Whenever there is a crunch in the market, right? And wherever there is a situation where companies goes through a crunch, companies goes through a pinch in their financials, right? They obviously put hold on the hiring. And it so happened last year, most of the companies, Indian companies that are service oriented companies like Infosys, Wipro, Tech Mahindra, all these kind of companies, right? Uh, they go through a lot of crunch. If they don't get projects, they stop hiring. And and imagine another situation, if the existing projects they are not extended further, the whole project is shut down, and people from that project are asked to move to another group, or in a worst case situation, what they would do is they would give it a notice, and then they will ask them to leave the company. And this has become very common in the last 1.5 year, where most of the companies are asking their employees to leave. Okay. So this is a very downtrend situation that we are looking at this point of a time, where most of the companies are laying off their employees. Now, if you look at the history of the times, whenever there is a downtime in the market, whenever there's a crunch in the market, right? It doesn't last long. When I say it doesn't last long, it can be for 6 months, or it can be for 8 months, it can be for 1 year, or it can be like, generally it doesn't go more than 1.5 year kind of a thing. Okay. And it also happened in the pandemic situation where after pandemic, um, during pandemic, companies were not ready for work from home kind of a situation, and most of the companies, IT companies, they didn't had their work from home uh, um, um, uh, um, facilities available to them, right? So uh, after pandemic, it so happened they started feeling the pinch that if we are not able to make our employees work from home, it's going to affect our business. So it's not only companies with IT background, even companies which are non-IT specific companies, right? For example, the company that I'm working right now is a property management company, and we didn't had that option of working from home kind of a thing. But after pandemic, it so happened that options opened up, and many of the people who were able to even think about code and talk about code, they were hired like anything. After 2 years of crunch, the boom, it so happened. And this is where at that point of time I gave that session at that point of a time, where if you see the market situation at that point of the time, like you know uh, there was a point of a time where attrition was very high. When I say attrition, companies goes through attrition in the sense, they get laid off, right? I mean, it's a normal, people resign and go to other companies, and that is where the attrition. So in a year, if there are like 100 employees, if 9 employees resign, attrition is 9%. But during after the pandemic, the attrition rates were so high. Like if you see, this is a screenshot from that point of the time, 21 to 30%. The reason is anybody who had good knowledge about IT background, they were immediately hired with 100% hike kind of a thing. Okay. So, I mean, I'm saying 100% height, people even got much more than height at that point of time, right? And many people, we uh, you know, anybody who had good, solid knowledge about their domain, and if they can gain some IT knowledge, programming knowledge, or process knowledge kind of a thing, they were easily absorbed into the market. Now, from last 1 year also, I'm seeing people, most of the companies are uh, uh, are are getting laid off from the companies. And this is a very downtrend situation happening. Why downtrend and why is a good time? Because after, there is a point where you can go high and there is a point where you can go low, right? After you go low, obviously, you have to come up kind of a thing. And at this point of a time, we are talking about 24th or 2024 March kind of a situation. From last 1 year, there have been a very stagnant in the market where people are not uh, hiring as it used to be. Like, every year, for example, these companies like Infosys, Wipro, they hire about 2 lakh freshers from the market, right? I'm talking about freshers, combined all together. But after that, last year, most of these companies put a hold. The reason is because of a macroeconomic situation where there was a war. There's a war going on between Ukraine and Russia, and because of this, most of the companies have put their hold on their expansion plans. right? So when they put their hold on the expansion plans, obviously, the outsourcing of the projects to these companies or to any Indian companies or to any even the Indian offshore development centers was put on hold, right? So when they put on hold, hiring stops, right? And to make situations worse, even the projects that was supposed to be non-performing, they were cut down. And when the things were cut down, obviously the related employees of the project were laid off from the company, and that is where you see from um, uh, last almost 7 8 months there have been continuous news that Microsoft is laying off this, and Google is laying off this many, and Cisco is laying off this many employees, and all this news are coming, right? Now, when I say why this is good, because there is a point where you can go low, and after that it comes up, right? And when people there are two kinds of people that I'm hoping are on this session. One, the students who are out of college, whether from an IT background or looking for a job, or whether from a non-computer science background like electronics or mechanical or civil kind of a thing, they have come and joined this session to understand how things can work out. Right, that's one kind of a people that I'm thinking. People are here on this session. The other kind of people are they have been in the job to a company and they see their growth is stagnated, right? Because whatever kind of a job they do, it's not a very promising job with respect to their career growth, and they want to switch over to a better prospect project or better prospect opportunity kind of a thing. So people who are who are stagnant in their the second kind of a professionals that I'm talking about, I hope they are here on this session, is one who haven't seen better prospects in their current position, or makes things worse. They are laid off from the company because the kind of technology that they have been working on is not feasible anymore for the project, and they are looking out for jobs, and they are finding it difficult to get placed, so they wanted to try out another option. So those are the two kind of people that I'm talking about, right? So as is the case, as I said, it's not something to the present times, right? Every year there are a lot of professionals, lot of engineers, they come out of the college, and they are looking out for a job, and even at this point of a time, because of the way situations are happening in the market, most of the companies have stopped their expansion plans or have put a pause. If they're not going through any bad situation, if I have to say, at least I know. But at least the growth opportunities that they generally happens are not looking promising, and that's why most of these companies has put a uh, um, um, halt on their expansion plans, and that's why hiring is also on hold. Most of the companies, they generally hire it out. Most of the people who switch over jobs for better opportunities, they find difficulty in they are finding difficulty in moving over to other companies. I specifically know in my um, uh, you know in my group of friends, if I have to say, almost all of the companies have laid off some portion of their staff or other, directly in their groups or some other related groups, and most of them have got laid off and they are looking out jobs kind of a thing, right? So the reason why I'm saying is, if you look at this situation, 2017 there was crunch in the market, right? There was a crunch in the market during pandemic, right? Even after pandemic, this particular slide was after pandemic, where there was a tremendous hiring that happened, right? If I go back in time, 2008-9, there was a crunch in the market. Most of the companies were put a halt on the situation, and then and when it started, they started hiring like anything, right? After pandemic, two things happened. Most of the companies, they started enabling their IT. I mean, they started to think the current business, if we have to survive, unless and until we don't invest in an IT infrastructure, we will not be able to survive in the present situation, is what most of the companies or most of the non-IT companies realized, that we also need to have an IT department where for some reason things like pandemic happened where people are not able to come to office and they can enable work from home and they can get things done is the option. So anyway, so that's the background of this particular situation where how do we come to and we started this session and specifically I've been guiding many people from an offline perspective, the people whom I know, the people who reach out to some group friends, like many people, like the people who are like stagnant. It has been my if I have to say my interest as well. Like I reach out to people and guide them, and I know many of the people have settled in good particular positions. Right. I'll give you a few examples. Back in 2008, one of my colony mate reached out to me. He was, from a BCom background, a BA background, from a historical background. He pursued history. His English was very good. He started as a teacher, and his career was, the kind of salary he was getting offered, he was not very satisfied. So he reached out, and I would relate that story often in this situation right now. I'll go through it, but end of the day, after 6 to 7 months of preparation, he got a good job in IT. He went to Gulf countries, and then he went to he came back again. He worked here for 2 years, and now he's well settled back in US right now, and he's doing very good in a particular situation. That's one example, right? And presently in my company as well, in my group as well, there are like people with, I know one person I'm specifically referring to. He's from a mechanical background. He did his PhD in mechanical. He was teaching in engineering college. After 15 years, he decided that I should move out, and then he moved out. Some of his friends guided him as to how to do things, and he moved out. And he prepared on one particular area, and then he joined our company. When we started interviewing, like we realized he has very good knowledge, and we were also looking at things how things are with him. And he has come from an IT, from a non-IT background with a mechanical background with PhD, right? With teaching experience. Now he has come back and he has got a good opportunity. He's working still with us. And this is not right now, I'm saying, in every time, and every group that I worked in, most of the companies, almost like, there were like 2 or 3 people in every group. They were totally from, non-engineering, non-IT background, where they put on effort and then they were able to get along, right? I mean, they were able to get into a good job. Like, I have relatives in my family. I have friends in my circle. I have people in my neighborhood who, from a non-IT background, they started going into jobs. Like, I know one particular neighbor of mine. His wife was a teacher. Like, she was teaching IT course. Like, she was teaching a computer related course in a reputed school. Uh, Later, she decided, like, why can't I apply? And she applied to a very prominent company as a Salesforce company. She applied there, and they realized, like, this person is coming with a huge experience, and she was totally from a teaching background, and then she's coming up, and they offered her a fresher kind of a position, right? Because her communication was good, her approach to attitude of handling things was good. She was an experienced person. Only thing is she is not well experienced in the job that they were looking at. So they said, like, we would hire you, we would give you training for like 3 months, and then after we'll put you across. And she happily took the training, and she got a salary which is much um, 3 times better than what the salary she was getting offered in a prominent school that she was working out here. So she started as come in, she has to 2 times a day, and 3 times, she works from home. So this is the situation where like things are happening. So one is, there's always the case, people with good IT skills. When I presented this session, it was immediately after pandemic. The demand was very high, and the supply was very less. Like, it was people with very good IT skills, or if I have to say nominal IT skills, but they were able to speak out and their communication was good. they got absorbed into much companies, and all this thing happened. Now, when things are happening like this, people go through multiple emotions, right? When I say emotions, because we as an Indian culture, we are not used to switching over companies, right? I mean, it's not in our culture that we jump around and we shift around, right? Uh, I know many people, they started as a job. They start a job in one company and they end up being into that company, and they retire from the same company. This is how the nature of um, our cultural thinking is, if I have to say, right? And even the students, right now there are like a lot of colleges, and and they do the engineering. Uh, with very high aspirations. But after 4 years, when they come out to the market, they realize what we did was very wrong. We could have done better, but now we landed into this situation. Now things do happen, they go through multiple emotions, right? So one is the emotion, there is a self-doubt, right? There is a self-doubt. What is the doubt? Because I'm talking about two kind of a professionals, right? I mean, people from students who come out of college, right? And then the second is who are already into the market, they got laid off and they wanted to switch to an IT career, whether from an IT background or a non-IT background, they wanted to switch the domain kind of a thing. So one is the doubt, right? Whether I can learn this thing, whether I'm able to survive this thing or not is the doubt they have, right? These are the emotions that stop us pursuing our higher um, goals. It pulls us back, and it pulls us back. It doesn't let us go further. We always in a doubt, whether I'm good or not, whether I'm okay or not, kind of a thing, right? This is a doubt that happens. And the second thing is there is a fear of unknown. What is the fear of unknown? Again, if I do this, can I do I get a job, or 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 do I don't get a job? Whether I can do it or not, whether I don't do it or not, kind of a thing. So there is a fear of unknown that stops us from pursuing a new skill that we don't have pursued, whether in our college days or even after college days, when in our current positions, uh, you know, uh, uh, there is a fear of unknown, right? And obviously there is a fear of failure when you start doing things, right? uh, Whether it is whatever kind of a job you do, the once you start doing things, you become a master about it, right? You are used to kind of that little successes every day, and when you think about doing new things, obviously you don't know how to do those things, and then the obvious result of that feeling is I might fail, right? So when they fear I'll fail, uh, uh, it stops us, right? I mean, it stops us from pursuing new skills or new domain or new area of language, if I have to say, right? I mean, all these things do happen, right? And then obviously, this is cannot think outside. We are in a comfort zone. Most of the people who got laid off, one thing that I know for sure, most of these people tell is they landed up in the comfort zone. When I say comfort zone, they're happy doing what the things they were doing, and they didn't take this pain of learning new things, right? And and they felt जब तक चलेगा चलेगा kind of a situation, right? They went into a comfort zone and they didn't learn new things, and then they didn't plan for for the growth opportunity as well, right? Multiple things happens over the period of an experience, right? Not only technical skills, there are communication skills are there. There are team building, team skills are there. There are managerial skills are there. Most of the people, they don't think outside their box, and then they're comfortable doing what they are doing, and then when they do it. And obviously the thing that they see is very hard to succeed. I completed my engineering with so much of a difficulty. No, I don't want to do it again. I don't want to. So these are all the emotions that we all go through, right? I mean, these emotions are something that stops us pursuing new things, and why I say is, more than anything else, these are all the things that, if you think about, you can take a stance about it, and then you can easily get over that, right? uh, so These are all the negative feelings that happen, right? And I can say for sure, most of the people who got laid off from the existing companies, right, they have all these things, right? Most of the time they are like they cannot think out of the box. They don't want to take new things, learn new things, and because they wanted to, they don't know whether they can survive or not, and they are always in a doubt, right? And same situation with the students as well. Like I told you some good things, right? Where I know one person who got into an IT job. Like many people got into an IT job, like and they are like successfully doing IT jobs right now. There are also other things where people with these kind of an emotions, they never ever, started things. They always thought like, I would get into a job. And, I know one person, one example, I'm telling you, I've been pursuing so that he can join any institute and learn IT skills and get into it. And he's always like, no, I would look into my thing, and he's not preparing himself. His communication skills are not good. I'm telling him, but at the same time, like he's not preparing. And after 2 years, I see he's in the same position what he started before, right? And the reason they are not willing to pursue things that matter, right? And it looks they're not taking that step, right? These are the emotions that stop us, right? Now, when we do, we just need to change our mindset, right? What we need to do is we need to change our mindset and we need to think differently, as simple as that, right? I told you the emotions, right? The emotions that stop us. That is a fixed mindset, right? Our skills, or even the people who are getting laid off. There may be two reasons why people get laid off, right? One, the company is not investing in that project anymore, and the project is put a halt, and they get laid off. So it's nothing wrong with the skills of the people, right? The second thing is obviously that opportunity is not needed anymore. They decided like this person is not needed, kind of a thing, right? So with the changing current situations in the market, we need to go with the growth mindset. The emotions that I told you, it comes with a fixed mindset, right? So skills, we don't change our skills, we don't update our skills, right? They're stagnant and they are like the same as is, right? And the challenges we try to avoid. We get bogged down by those emotions, like I don't want to take new things and I don't want to challenge myself, kind of a thing, right? The third is effort, right? We feel like my job is currently safe, or whatever I have learned is safe. I don't need to put in a lot of effort, right? Feedback generally, like if you say you don't do this, we always think like this person is my enemy, and he's like, for example, my boss, right? My boss gives me some feedback like you don't do this, you don't do this. And generally in companies, it's a manager's mindset is they always tell uh, bad negative things about you, like you did not do this, or you didn't do this report on time, you don't we told you many times that you need to do, or this is something that you need lack. And we always take that feedback as we it produces a defense, like I know I'm doing good, but he is my enemy, that's why he is giving me this defense. And we don't think of on those lines whether the feedback is good or not, kind of a thing, right? And obviously, like setbacks, like we don't we always think we are good, right? We always blame others. It's not my fault, and we easily get discouraged from everything. This is a fixed mindset that stops us from growing, right? And we need to have a growth mindset. What is like we need to learn. We need to upgrade ourselves. We need to learn new skills. This is always. And one thing that I have seen constant in IT market is it's changing always, and every time like we need to update ourselves. And myself in the market for almost 22 years in the profession, there's always new things to learn. There are always better ways to do things, and unless and until we don't learn those new things, we'll not be able to survive. Obviously challenges will be there, like we don't take out our time, or we don't consult among ourselves with elders, or with seniors, or with people who are very caring about ourselves. We don't discuss. And obviously, like any challenge that comes up, we take it, it's a situation. But if you start discussing with your seniors, right, there are always better things that you can easily face those challenges. It's not that you are the only person who face the challenge. Like, there are already people who face the challenge, but they can come it up. Right? Effort, as I said, it's always needed. Every day you need to learn new things. Every day you need to master and upskill yourself. Right? This is a growth mindset. So little change of mind that brings a lot of feedback. Always, whenever feedback is given, and there may be two reasons why that can be given is like you yourself lack those skills, right? So take that feedback and look into your own self, like and then see whether the feedback really is making sense. If it's making sense, like even if there is like 50% positiveness in that feedback, take it up. Like try to change yourself, or try to talk to others, and then try to get those feedbacks done. Like, try to do yourself, like try to change the way you work based on the feedback, right? Any setback that you receive, like obviously, when I said before, right, the fear of failure, obviously, you may face failure. Failures are good, right? Maybe at that point of a time, you may be thinking it's difficult, right? But you learn a lot of things through failures, like setbacks. When even like you missed your deliverable while doing things, right? This is a setback, and that gives us a lot of opportunity to learn. Like what is the mistake I did? How should I have done it? Like there are a lot of things that can be done. So one is the fixed mindset that stops us from growing. Another is just a change of mindset, little change. Like obviously, you need to work. You need to um, uh, end of the day, you need to put in time and you need to learn new things, right? So uh, I'll tell you one example. When I was doing masters, there was one person with me, my senior, who was from a architecture background. His um, his father was a professor, right? And he obviously wanted to become a professor, and he wanted to go into the teaching line. And then he came from architecture background. He switched over to IT, and he was not happy with IT. Like he joined an IT job with good package, but end of the day, he was not happy. Right? Every day he used to think, I cannot work. I don't want to work in these nights. I don't want to work. Right? His own thing was like, I don't want to extend my times. I don't want to work to I don't want to spend nights coding. I want to have a better job, and the better job that he felt was like I would become a professor. And right now, to become a professor, he has to pursue PhD. So while doing the job, he pursued PhD, and then he switched over to a very a director level position in one of the premium institutes. And then he did. Now I see after 10 years, he has been in the job for 10 years. He switched over from IT to this job. After 10 years, I see he's sitting at 2 a.m. in the night. I see him online. I think, what are you doing at this point of a time? He says, tomorrow there is a presentation in the class. Like, I'm preparing for that, right? And when I see uh, before, like, after he did masters and when we both joined the same company, we both were working till 2 a.m. in the night, right? But he was not happy. Now he is working same 2 a.m. in the night, but he's happily doing it, right? So what I mean to say is when you love the way that you work, right? You always put in effort, right? This is a mindset that we need to do, right? Now, because we're not talking about how things work, we are talking about how to go into an IT job from a non-IT background, or even with the students who to do, how to go about it. So this is the mindset that we're talking about, right? So I have given you the perspective of like, what to do things, what are the things that stop us? Like, it's more than anything else. It's our mindset that stops us from pursuing things into doing a job. Now, the obvious situation is now I've decided I want to pursue an IT job. What is the things that I can do, right? And if you look at the tech stack, like, if you go and think about like, what are the things that I need to do, there are so many things that you can do, and there are so many things that there are there in the market. So obviously, with coming out fresh, you look at and then you are like confused what to do, right? There are mobile apps, if you need to do. there are like multiple technologies covering mobile apps. Then there is a front end, web front end, like there's HTML, CSS, JavaScript, like Angular, React, all these things are there, right? Then there is a backend the thing. The Node.js is there, core Java is there, .NET is there, right? And Python is picking up, like all these are like backend frameworks. Then there is databases, right? So which database should I do? Should I pursue SQL Server? Should I do MS SQL, MySQL, or should I do Oracle or like Postgres or like what are the things that I can do, right? Then there are like clouds. You might have here about Amazon Web Services, Azure, Google Platform, all those things, right? So now, when you're coming from this background, there are like multiple mindsets, right? I mean, some people love coding, some people love doing repeated things, maintaining things, kind of a thing, right? Some people, they have different personalities. I don't know what kind of a personality you are, but you are the ones who know your personality well, and you need to assess and sit yourself first, then think about what are the things that best suit me. Like, unless and until you don't understand you yourself as a personality, you cannot take a decision as to what is something that is best for you, right? So don't compare others. Don't compare with others. When I say don't compare with others, there is a person X, who is your neighbor or who is your friend. He has got a good job. Now you're trying to always compare yourself. He is much better than you, or he has skills which are like completely different from you, right? You might be getting a financial success or commercial success, if I have to say, right? So it doesn't matter, right? You don't look at others. You look about your own self, right? What are the things that I can do better, right? Or what are the things that I'm good at? Think about yourself, right? And then you take a decision. The way to, when you come to do a tech stack, right? You want to pursue what are the things that you want to pursue. Then first of all, you need to read and analyze things. Like what is the thing that is good for me, right? Whether I need to do databases, whether I need to do backend, whether I need to do front end, can I go about mobile apps, or can I do and go about cloud integrations, kind of a thing, right? First of all, you need to read about it, like what is there in that opportunity, and then you need to analyze yourself whether this is going to suit me or not, right? And then you need to identify your abilities and strengths. Obviously, as I said, right? I mean, you cannot compare with others. Don't compare with others, especially when you are going through a crunch kind of a situation, right? Don't compare with others. Always think about your own self. What is that I am good at? Or what is that I am bad at? Like, and if you know the good and bads, you know your abilities and your inabilities, your strengths and your weaknesses, right? I always suggest take out a paper, write down your strengths, take out a paper, write down your abilities, write down your weaknesses, and then take a decision, right? Once you know what is your good at and what is your bad at, what is your strength and what is your weakness, you can easily take a decision. Like these are the things that I can play around, and I'm very good at, and I can perform well in this kind of an area is something that you need to decide. And as I said, right, choose what suits your interests. Like, you may be interested in coding, you may not be interested in coding. After some time, you realize, like, what is that I started? I told you one example, right? This person who from a BCom background was as a teacher came to me, and then he said, like, because one of his friends was doing .NET, and he switched over to .NET, and he got a very good paying job. He thought, like, I would go and do .NET. So when he started .NET, he started with C Sharp, and suddenly he started with object-oriented concepts, and nothing was he started reading books. He reached out to me, and I said, okay, we'll start it. I'll guide you on all the things that you can do, right? And he started after 1.5 months. He came back and said, like, nothing is, I'm not able to understand anything. I don't know what I am doing. I almost lost 1.5 months, 2 months, trying to read that. I'm thinking whether I'm good at this or not. I said, like, it's not that it's good or bad. Just that, you picked up the most difficult thing at that point of the time, right? And then, because I was working in databases, I just studied go to SQL Server and learn SQL Server. And these are easy things that you can easily learn, and then you can master over it. So it started, and after 6 months, I got a job, right? So it was a constant feedback with me. He was regularly getting in touch with me. and I was giving him feedback, and then slowly and steadily he was able to figure it out. And that is where, and that's not just one person that I guided, and there are like many people who guided, and they all it's a systematic pattern, if I have to say, right? And the things that I'm going to tell right now, if you follow that pattern, in about like few months from now, you should be much better placed, and you will be able to get into an IT job, is what I can say for sure. Okay. Uh, three things that I told. One, currently market is going down, right? And this is the least that I can go down, and in about few months it will come up, right? Because the way I'm telling right now, it's time for to pursue an IT skill is right. The reason is because for preparation, it takes about 5 to 6 months. And if you prepare right now, if you start preparing right now, in about 5 to 6 months, things can turn up, right? Market can go into a positive situation, right? And then, when they start hiring, you don't want to be in a position that, I should have learned, or you should not be in a regrettable position at that time. Like, uh, I could have invested more time, or I could have done this, or I could have done that. You don't want to be in that regrettable position. So start preparing right now. In about 5 to 6 months, you'll be able to get, you will be easily getting all the skills, and then, you can easily get into a job, right? And these are all the things that are there out there in the market. I don't want to confuse each one of you. Like, I don't want to even make you feel overwhelmed. I have to say, right? Can I do it or I cannot do it, kind of a thing. It's just very simple. You just need to pick up one. Lot of videos are there on YouTube. Go start looking at those videos. We spend hours, right? Looking at shorts. Take out a specific time, look at that video, see if you are able to understand, and if you're able to understand, pursue that skill, kind of a thing, right? So any of the topics you pick, right? Amazon Web Services are there, GCP is there, Azure is there, or even SQL Server, or Microsoft Postgres, or Python, like data science is picking up, even Java, like pick up anything. Look at the videos. There are like a lot of videos on YouTube. You can easily pick it up, go through the videos, spend like 2 or 3 days looking at the videos, try to look at that video multiple times and see if you're able to get it or not. If you're able to get it, and if you're feeling that it interests you, start pursuing it, right? And how do you prepare for that job is the things that I'm going to tell you right now, is something that you need to follow the process, and easily you can get it up, inshallah. Okay. So now, when you decided that you need to do, when you decided what you want to do, obviously a time will come where you need to look for a job, or you need to switch out from your current existing position to another position, right? So it's a strategy, right? It's a job hunting strategy, it's a switching strategy, right? So there are job portals, right? Naukri.com is there, Indeed is there, like LinkedIn is much pursued portal, right? So there are like multiple ways of looking at things. The thing that I'm going to tell you is a very generic thing, right? So what you do is, for example, let's say you want to look for a job in Java, right? You started preparing for Java, and then there are like multiple sections in Java that you can pursue about, right? So first of all, when you look for a Java, first of all, you need to decide what is that I wanted to. Or for example, let's say you take Python, or let's say you talk about some database thing, or even Microsoft Azure, right? Whatever you want to put. First of all, go to job portals, like, search for the job that you are looking for. Like, let's say you want to look for a Java job, or you want to look for a SQL Server job, or you want to look for a AWS job, right? Spend 2 or 3 hours looking at various job portals, right? Looking at job postings, like what is that they are asking for, right? Once you look for, make a note down of all the things that are being asked for. Let's say, for example, you are a fresher, like you want to apply for 1 or 2 years, kind of a 1 year position, kind of a thing, 1 year requirement, kind of a thing. Or you're experienced, like 5 to 6 years of experience, or even 10 years experience, if I have to say, right? And you want to switch over, you can have 10 years experience, but you can always claim that you switched over from a non-IT background, and you wanted to come. So I have 2 years of relevant IT experience, but I have 12 years of experience altogether in the market, is what you can say, right? Obviously, when you look at that kind of a thing, let's say for 2 years kind of a thing, you search for a job, you make a note of all the things that are getting asked, right? And then you note all the requirements, and then you look at change your resume. Like, you might have done any job, right? Now the things are very interrelated. Like, when I say interrelated, even companies with non-IT backgrounds, non-IT domains are opening up or are investing on their IT structure. Obviously, the demand for IT people is there. It's just like, market goes ups and down. Right now, like, market is going in a very downward trend situation, but it is good. Like, it always comes up back again, right? So you note down the requirements, you take and change your resume. For example, you did a particular project, right? I did this particular project, and you can always say I did this, though my background was not there. Uh, we had to um, uh, we had to switch over to this, where we had to automate this thing, and we brought about um, uh, we have to digitize this kind of a thing, right? So we started switching over into, and we decided that we'll move into Java. I was trained into Java, and then I started doing things easy, or easily can say. Or the second of thing that you can say is, for example, I'm there working as a job. Now we decided that we wanted to switch over to a database. We brought SQL Server, and then we had to move all our things into SQL Server, and that is where I was trained in SQL Server, and I asked to move all these things into SQL Server, and that is where I learned SQL Server. And the reason why I'm telling this as a practical example, as I said, like, I was working in this one company. We had to hire, like, 20 professionals at one point of a time, 20 freshers, whereas there was a data entry job, and we had to enter it into SQL Server. We were looking for an experienced person in SQL Server with a with a data entry background kind of a thing. And to our surprise, one lady came up from State Bank of India, and she was there for almost working there for 15 years. She was there as an accountant, and back at that time in 2007 kind of a situation, eight kind of a situation, right? She, SBI decided that we'll digitize all our branches, and then they obviously they inherited SQL Server. Like, they switched over to SQL Server at that point of a time, and she was the one who put all the accounts into SQL Server, and she learned SQL Server at that time, and then they started. She worked there in SQL Server for 2 years, so almost like, I'm talking about like, 16, 17 years of experience, but 2 years of IT experience. And she came, and we had a particular requirement where we wanted a senior person who can monitor, juniors, but also with some technical knowledge. It was a very difficult situation at that time to find that kind of a thing. But to our fortunate, we were really fortunate to find this particular lady. Like, she was there for 15 years experience, so she was matured, and she was very good in handling and dealing with things. Because she was dealing in SBI, where there are like a lot of info of customers every day. She was very good at that, and obviously she had to understand. So she jumped there with almost 100% hike at that point of a time, and then she joined our group as a SQL Server lead. To where we had to had 20 students from the colleges, and then after 2 years, I'm telling you, she totally switched over to IT security, and she now with her family she moved to Canada, and she's well settled over there, right? So this is the situation that I'm telling, that it is very easy. It's just that, like, your mindset needs to happen, and then you need to work for it, like, and it's a long term effort. So it's a time and effort is required. So you search for a job portal for a particular technology that you are looking for. You note down the requirements, and whatever experience you have, right? Whether it is you are already experienced person, or you are a fresher, you can always say, we did this project as a group kind of a thing, and then you can tweak your resume, change resume, and publish it out, and then it's a hunting strategy, right? So this is where that you do. Now, how do you prepare, and what do you prepare, right? So what is the timelines uh, 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 to look for a job? And I was discussing with one of our groups. Right now the major thing that we all go through is these YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, TikTok kind of a thing, right? This is very good. It provides us entertainment, but inherently it is spoiling our attitude. How is that spoiling our attitude? Is we are not thinking on a long-term strategy. You know, we always look for short-term goals, short-term entertainment, short entertainment, right? YouTube Shorts, it gives you a very short entertainment within a minute, right? Reels, TikTok, 30 seconds, maybe 1 minute, right? Maximum 1 minute. You look at thing and then you feel you are really happy. We are not talking about that, but this has a toll on the way we think. We think, it's easy to prepare, right? And we don't think on a long-term strategy, and that gives us a pressure, and we are all going through. I mean, it's not that I'm not going through that. We all go through this kind of a situation, right? So all you need to do is about your preparation strategy. You need to think about 6 to 8 months of preparation, right? And one of the mistake that most of the people do is they learn a lot of technologies. They learn Java, they learn Python, they learn C Sharp, and they learn database, they learn this, they learn that. And when we talk about it, they have learned everything, but they haven't grasped anything, right? So the better idea is what I said before is think about your strength, think about your interest, your attitude, and invest your time on learning one technology, right? Or one particular stack. Nowadays you might have heard there's a uh, 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 technical stack is there. When we say technical stack, right? This is the technical stack we're talking about, right? Anything that you develop, previously it was if you are a particularly or one technology, you could have easily put it on. Now companies are looking at uh, people who can do everything, right? They can do Angular, they can do React, they can do Java coding. They are also able to do some coding on MySQL or Postgres, and they are also able to deploy. So this is a tech stack kind of a thing. So you know a little of everything, and you are able to handle everything end to end. So obviously, I'm not asking you to go into that situation right now, but maybe your future strategy should be like that. But at this point of a time, you need to have your focus on learning one technology, right? Invest some time, 2 or 3 weeks, watch the videos, see what is suiting your interest, what is you are able to easily grasp. Maybe, because you come from a completely different domain, and I'm hoping you are coming from a different domain. And how do you ensure you are understanding things, right? So watch videos. There are like multiple videos out there in YouTube. Old videos, maybe not necessarily you need to look at new videos. Maybe the videos are published 2 years before, 3 years before. Things don't change rapidly that rapidly, right? So you can look at the videos and see whether it is going to, your attitude is, your appetite is, your taste is for that. You're able to understand things and then take a decision about it and learn and invest your time learning that one technology, right? Once you learn the technology, obviously you need to go for 1 month mock interview, right? Um, how do you do the mock interview? Take any technology, go to Google, search for Google, Java interview questions or GCP interview questions or database interview questions, right? Anything you ask about it, uh, um, there is always a interview questions out there, right? This will help you. What you should do is you once you learn the technology, what you need to do is download all those interview questions. And the way I suggest is, it's better if you have a guide where somebody you get in touch with, and then you take this strategy. Or the other good way is, if you're self motivated, take this question, sit in front of your mirror, ask the question and see whether you are able to answer or not. Whether you are able to answer it correctly, one, and whether your attitude, your body language, your communication is is good, and is doing an impact kind of a thing or not. You sound confident, right? Your body language shows that you are confident, right? Whatever thing that is being asked, say, suppose you ask a question, you express yourself. Like, one language is like, you're doubtful. Another language is like, you know things, and then uh, you are easily articulated, right? People learn good things, but they are not able to communicate things. These are all the package. So 1 month mock interview, right? You take a question, sit in front of a computer, ask a question, and see yourself whether you will answer. Once you take the answer, look for correct answer and see whether you understand the technology or not. You can start like from 1 month onwards. Like you can do your own set of levels. This helps you give an understanding of what kind of questions are being asked when you go for an interview, right? And then, as I said, right, at the point of time, once you do are prepared for that mock interview, you yourself can do it. Or, I hope you are all part of a faculty group. If not, you can join that group, and maybe like we can help you out. And there's no charge anything. It's just all as I said, I'll do it back. So we can always you know uh, have a mock interview kind of a thing. And then when you start applying, right, you actually go through 2 months of actual interview and rejection experiences. Now, here, what I suggest is what you do is apply for companies which you are not interested to join, right? Then maybe, for example, your dream company may be Infosys, or your dream company is, say, suppose, whatever, I don't want to, is some company, right? You want to go into that company and you find a job posting on that company. You immediately apply that. Don't apply that. My strategy is to go for places for companies which you don't want to join. Go and attend the interviews in that company, right? Then obviously you will get rejected. Reason? Because you don't have an working experience. You don't have the actual coding or like the practical experience. The way the question is being asked, you may frame it well, you may not frame it well, but people will realize like you are coming out with a fake experience or whatever it is, right? It's obvious. If, for example, I'm good at one technology, right? If I do interview a person who comes and says I have 5 years of experience in this technology and I'm good at, and within 10 to 15 minutes we can know for sure whether this person is lying or whether this person is faking or is actually coming up with you know it's matter of 10 to 15 minutes that we can easily know for sure what it is. But the reason why I said like you need to concentrate on what technology and go for that mock interview is because you are already prepared with answering different types of questions, and then when you go here, when you actually face the interview, you may totally find it different. But because you already gone through a mock interview, you know how to answer it well, and but somehow they feel because market is very demanding right now, people are going through a lot of filtering kind of a situation, and for one position they are interviewing multiple people. Obviously, will face a lot of rejections. The thing that I say here is, you start noting down. Let's say, for example, you attend an interview on that, right? After the interview, you know for sure whether you did good or whether you did it bad. Note down all your experience. Right? What is the question? What is the thing that I answered? How did I answer? Did I answer it well or not? Or you note down each and everything. And there is a way to deal with an interview. For example, if you know, tell them you know, and you don't know, right? And then they ask you things. Tell them you don't know, right? I didn't learn this, or I haven't faced a situation, I'm not sure. Or you are in a doubt. You think you know, but you don't know whether you're correct or not. Tell them openly, like uh, I uh, I may not know this, but I try. I may fail kind of a thing. So when you say this, I'll try to answer it, but I may be wrong, is what you can say. When you say this, the other person is mentally prepared that you may go wrong and he will not make an opinion about you, right? So he will give an excuse to you because you are very open, you are very candid, and you are very transparent. And you said like, yeah, you don't know, but you are trying. This shows an attitude that this person is willing to try. He's not taking a step back. So those are the things that you need to actually face that interview. And obviously, like as I said, like apply for companies where you don't want to join. Go and attend those companies. Whatever, 1 or 2 or 3 years, go and attend that company. And if you get rejected, you know, don't get don't get um, perturbed or disturbed or like into depression kind of a thing, right? It's very normal that you get rejected. With the experience, they get rejected, and you are coming up with a totally new strategy, which is not your background kind of a thing. You started learning those things. You're ahead. Obviously, you don't need to feel bad about things. So note down all the things that you have gone in the interview immediately. For example, you attend an interview from 3 to 4, right? After 4 o'clock, sit down, take a note of things that you feel good and you feel you did bad, and then note down that experience, and then you will have gained a lot of bad experiences, and it teaches you how to deal with the bad experiences, right? And finally, after 2 or 3 months of maybe 4 or 5 interviews rejection, you may can finally get selected. And when you get selected, because now you are entering into a job which is completely a different domain. So there are two things that we are talking about, right? A student who joins a new company, and obviously, like, the way people deal with students is completely different, or an experienced person, like as I said, like in my group, there was with 15 years of PhD mechanical background, and he is immediately coming. He's always treated like a 15 years experience, but but the way I look at him is like 1 year experience. So he don't know the processes, he don't know how to talk to people, he don't know how to deal with people kind of a thing in a particular situation, right? In a company. So obviously you try to fail, you learn, and then you try to improve kind of a thing, right? So this is where you need to prepare a strategy. Where 6 to 8 months of preparation. Think about one technology, invest your time on learning one technology, and go for 1 month of mock interview preparation. You yourself can prepare that, or you know somebody friend, or your friend's friend. They said, go and ask them, please take an interview from me, any interview, just kind of a thing, right? So obviously you need to take out that fear of interview, right? And then when you start applying and applying, and you may need to apply multiple times, right? You need to be constant, you need to follow up, right? Obviously you need to follow up, and you may get rejected, right? Uh, you need to go through that 2 months of actual interview experience. Finally, you get selected, right? So this is where you need to do things. And once you land into a job, I'm not saying that is a happy go there, because the way the culture, the projects are dealt with are different things. You may need to learn and improve your job as well. This person that I told you, right? I give an example. He prepared for like he did not get it. Later, he decided he would switch over to databases. He learned very well, and I told him to apply for clients. He got rejected 5 or 6 companies, but he got selected in Wipro. Okay, he moved. I'm talking about back in 2007 kind of a thing, right? 8, if I remember. 7 or 8, I don't know. So 25,000 was getting to teacher, working in primary school kind of a thing. And 25,000 is obviously false. When he landed there, he got a bad technical lead who used to scold, who used to use bad language. And then he was a person with short temper. And one point of a time, he slapped that lead. After 2 months of thing, he slapped that lead in front of everybody in the team. And then he realized his mistake. He called me. What should I do? I said, what happens to me? I said, you could have done anything, but you should not have slapped me. Pulled him back, but you went physical. He slapped, you know, and then he was fired from Wipro, right? And it's obviously a policy, right? You cannot take things in your hand literally, right? So, and his boss himself said, we know this is a bad attitude, but you could have, rejected verbally, but you went physical, and policy states you did not go physical. Like he slapped the person in kind of way, right? And then he got removed from that, from which he got laid off. Like, immediate termination was there, right? So why I'm saying this is like, there is one thing called preparation, and there is another thing called settling in the company. Like, people go through different emotions, and you cannot use the same stick. Like, you need to learn the experience of that particular nature of that, right? So anyway, this is not something that I told for to you to hear. It's just that we need to be prepared. It's always good, like you talk to some of your seniors, and then based on the suggestion, like and always go and approach any person, and with a very open heart, tell them that I'm facing this situation. I would be really helpful if you can guide me in that. And when you ask to any person, right, they will be happily guiding you to do that. And and when they guide, don't think about taking an action as well. I'll tell you one more example. One person, one student, he got immediately placed into a job. I'm talking about 5, 6 years before, and he got into a .NET job. But his attitude was not into a programming job, right? He was very struggling to get things done. And then he suggested one of his known person. He said, if you don't like the job, resign from that job, no? Go and look for another thing. And he took that suggestion and he immediately resigned from that job. Like, and after resigning from the job, after 2, 3 months, he came, somebody suggested, like, he talks to me. He came to me. The first thing I said is, why did you resign a job that I was already paying? Getting a job immediately after the college was something, a privilege. You should have appreciated the privilege, right? So, short story, like, he took that bad decision of resigning from the job. In 2 years, he was jobless. 2 years, right? And he was coming out of a college. He was getting 5,000 rupees for a .NET kind of a thing. He was not very good at .NET. He was very struggling to get. All he had done is like, invested 2 hours of a time really coming back and practicing things. But he took the easy route of resigning from the job because he couldn't do it. But somewhere around 2 years, he was jobless, and then he got the situation. Okay, so this is where uh, uh, I say, like it's very easy, but at the same time you need to take a step very cautiously. Mentally prepare yourself for 6 to 8 months of preparation. Put your time investing on one technology, right? For example, if you're a student, you don't have any time. Eat, sleep, right? Eat, sleep, make friends. Take out 4 hours, 5 hours of your day. You eat, whatever you want, you go and meet your friends. But spend your time 8 months joining any institute or take a Udemy course, or maybe sit in front of the computer and start learning things as if you're doing a job, right? Learn that thing. 5 months, and if you're working professional, switch over, right? Take out 1 hour of time, 1 to 2 hours of time on a daily basis. Practice it on a daily basis. Like, if you are experienced, you don't need. I mean, you can easily learn new things, right? And go through that 1 month of mock interview. Maybe suggest if you're known persons, or like you yourself can take interview from the job, right? And then when you start applying and actually go for actual rejection experiences, you go through that, and then finally selection. And when you face any challenges, you're already there, right? So this is where my I think about, like you can easily go through. It's not that I'm telling a very difficult thing. I actually guided a lot of students I know who with many people I have guided, and they were able to switch over easily. But one thing is consistent preparation, perseverance, patience, like, and, focus should be there. And obviously guidance, if you're doing on your own, maybe at one point of time, you may get depressed, or you may feel, things are, I don't know why I'm doing it. So you always need to work under a guidance, right? So for that strategy, what we are doing is, once we realize, like, people they do start preparations with high aspirations, but they go through a lot of difficult situations. So for that, what we also started is a career counseling kind of a session. In this month, we are not doing it because of a lot of things, but otherwise, from an MFIRD perspective, we conduct one this upskilling kind of a session at 11 a.m. where we reach out to multiple different professionals, and then we conduct the happening things in the market so that we can know about it and we can learn about it. And then secondly, afternoon times from 3 to 4, we also conduct career counseling sessions where people, if they have any questions, they can come back and then they can learn. Mostly, I will also be there, but there are also other people who joins and does the thing. It's basically if you have anything, any question where you are seeking guidance, as it it's always better to take guidance. You can join the same Zoom link. Most of the times it's the same Zoom link and same meeting ID. So you can join this link at this point of a time, and then you can ask your questions. And it's just that we are here to suggest you, and we are not charging anything. It's free, as I said before, right? We MFIRD, we started as a group, and then we thought of giving back to the society what we have gained from the society, right? And it's all free of charge. We are not charging you anything. We are not asking you for any money, right? It's just that we want you to fare better, and with our little guidance. End of the day, what I did, I told you a strategy, and who's the one who has to do that strategy? It's you, right? If you are a student, it's the best time, you know, uh, enjoy whatever you can, but at the same time, invest time, 5 to in like 7 to 8 hours of your day, as if you're working in a company. Go learn that thing, mornings and evenings if you can. Whatever you can do it, but learn those things. And if you're a working professional, take out 1 to 2 months, 1 to 2 hours per day, or 10 hours per week, however you can, right? And then start preparing. And you need to have a long-term strategy, as I said, right? Note down the requirements, learn about the requirements, and then get to learn the mock interviews. For example, one of the students, he immediately got off the college and he was trying job and he was doing for SAP, right? He was not getting, he don't know. He reached me out. I don't know what is that I need to do. I said, simple. What is SAP has lot of module. What is the module you want to go? He told me this particular module. And what are the different things in that module? He said this thing. Like note down the things. Go and look for a job in SAP in that module. What are the kind of job requirements? Note down the requirements. And for example, there are 10 chapters or 20 chapters, 20 different technological chapters in that particular job market. Note it down, learn about it, and start applying things. And he did it within 5 to 6 months. He got a job in Qatar Airways, right? He applied. He was offered job in Qatar Airways, so he had to go to Qatar. Qatar Airways gave him a flight ticket for morning ticket. He was there. He went to Qatar. He attended the interview. He came back, and then within another 3 to 4 weeks, job was finalized. He's happily working in Qatar. So these are all the things that happen. As I said, it's a long-term strategy. Mentally prepare yourself, because this gives you a counseling paper. But at the same time, every day you need to take your note about yourself, whether I learned new things or not. Every week you need to think about what are the things I learned in this week, and I'm going it in the right way or not. And then start doing your mock interview questions, learning about mock interview questions. And once you feel you have learned everything, go and actually apply for things, jobs, or places, companies that you don't want to join. Go attend the interviews, get rejections. Once you feel you have got enough rejections and you note down all the actual experiences, right? Start applying for the companies that you wish for, background of that company, do a background, know about that company, try to see if anybody is there who can guide you how the things are there in that company. So join our groups. Hopefully there should be one person who can easily guide you. And then finally you will get selected, and then you will have to go through those things. I hope I'm clear, right? So if you have any questions, as I said, every Sunday, we do have a career counseling session as well from 3 to 4 p.m. And we do it on every Sunday basis. But whenever we do, for the last 3 4 weeks, we have been conducting because of lot of multiple things. But every Sunday, we do have career counseling session as well, where if you are facing any situation, if you need any guidance, you can easily come and ask the questions, and we'll guide you, inshallah. Okay. So I hope I'm clear. I am seeing questions, and I'll try to answer. As I said, this is a very long session that I took. Basically, uh, 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 it's about an attitude, right? So it's about how you prepare yourself, and then um, uh, how do you how do you go about it? It's just an attitude. All I'm here is guide, but at the same time you yourself has to prepare that and then you have to do it. Okay. So now I have covered everything. I'll be taking a question and answer session. I know a lot of people have joined in this session. This was supposed to be an hour, but it generally goes more than that. Now we'll take question and answer session. My suggestion is if you are time constrained, you can stay back and then take that session. But if you sorry, if you are time constrained, you can leave because I already have given you the strategy. It's just that you need to. But if you can stay back and listen to questions, and we'll try to answer. But as I said, we'll try to wrap it up in another half an hour. So I'll take all the questions I have. Um, um, I see questions. Nowadays, they ask for projects, not mark. What should we do in this situation? See, projects is not projects. Basically, they are looking for an experience, whether you do a mock project or whether you do an actual project, right? So there is always this thing called you can do a mock project with an actual experience, uh, and you can learn it. Like, end of the day, if you're good at the technology and you're able to do it, they're like many books, PDF books are there, projects in Java, projects in Python, small projects in Python, or even database. There is questions called um, uh, I'm not able to recipes, right? Recipes in SQL, recipes in Oracle, or recipes in Java. These are uh, a question is there and an answer is also given, right? So you can do those kind of a thing, and you can happily download PDF files, right? There are a lot of PDF files you can easily search and Google and get it download. So recipes in Java or recipes in in Python or projects in Python. Go and download the projects, that books, if you learn the basic things in Python or Java or SQL Server or whatever it is, right? And you can easily do those projects, and then end of the day they look at your experience, whether you do a mock project or a two thing. It's just about how do you convince that. For example, in this real project, so my situation is I'm a student. I did not get an opportunity to do a real project, but in our college we did this project for our fun sake, and I learned these technologies in this particular area. You please do ask me questions in that, and then we will, I'll try to answer the question. There is always the negotiation factor is there. You can do that, right? And another question I see: what courses are good in AI? AI is a very huge thing. Uh, um, uh, there is something called tinyurl.com/mfird, right? All the sessions that we do, we record these sessions and we upload into our YouTube channel. I'm pasting you the URL, right? tinyurl.com/mfird is the uh, tinyurl.com/mfird. This is the URL. If you go on, it will take you to our YouTube channel, and then it has lot of sessions that we gave on AI. Probably you can look into that AI course and then decide about yourself. Okay. I hope I answered your question. And then so all are telling now IT markets already don't want to IT sector. Please listen. As I said, things are going bad right now, but it's always not bad. Always there is a downtrend, there is an uptrend. Whenever things go down, it's an indication that it's going to come up, right? And I'm not saying you prepare now, in 1 month you'll get a job, right? It's about 5 to 6 months from now. And I know I recently met one of my old relatives, or a very distant relative. He was completely from a non IT become background, and then he had an opportunity. His company offered him job in IT. For 4 years he's learning, and still he feels he doesn't do that. And he has tremendously improved. Now he's switched over to another company. He's getting a good salary. As I said, IT is down, but I recently I saw an article where people are hiring people, and it looks like there is an upward trend that is going to happen. But it's just 2 or 3 news articles that I saw. I cannot comment on that. But one thing is for sure: if something is going down, it will come up, right? When it comes up, people with knowledge will get hired like anything. For example, pandemic, pandemic was a very downtrend. Even people with jobs were very skeptical whether their job will be there or not, right? Many companies told like, if things continue like this, we'll have to ask you to leave. But nobody left. Nobody asked their employees to leave. It happened that, they had to hire many people out there, right? So that's why I say things are bad right now, but it doesn't last that long. Like, if things it just takes a matter of time. And obviously, businesses are growing. They are investing. It's just that because of that war situation, people have put their hold or paused on their hiring, but it doesn't go that way, right? So now is the time after 6 to 7 months. Anyway, it takes time. It's not like you prepare now in 2 weeks you'll get a job, right? It's not like that. It takes about 5 to 6 months of a preparation, consistent perseverance. Start preparing it when things go up. Like, whatever you're doing right now, if you're a student, you don't have a job, what do? Sitting at home, doing nothing, right? Start preparing, start learning. If you already have a job which you are not getting any good hike or any good position, or you are already laid off, you don't have anything, you're sitting at home. Why do you want to sit at home? Look for a job in your current experience. If you don't get a job, start investing some part of your time learning new things. Like, you don't want to be in a regrettable situation when things go right, right? That is what I'm saying. Okay. So as you broadly categorized in areas, background, front-end database, as a mechanical engineer, how should I choose one and start on that? Uh, as I said, you need to invest some time, right? You need to know about your things. Uh, Maybe you want to start with the database background or anything. It takes about 1 to 2 months to even to get to understand that particular thing, right? Start 2 to 3 hours, watch few videos, like, one of the area backend video, like, you know, Azure or GCP or AWS. Start looking at 1 or 2 videos. I know a lot of videos in YouTube are freely available. 8 to 10 hours of videos are there. What is stopping you to watch the videos? Like, if you watch the 8 hours video, like, you may need to spend like, 2 to 3 days watching 8 hours video, noting out all the contents. If you feel you are able to understand that, start pursuing it. If you feel you are not able to do it, like, switch over, watch another video, watch another area, right? And then you will be able to compare yourself. As I said, you want to know your own strengths, your own weaknesses, and then you want to take a decision. Okay. So I hope I answered that question, right? Now, other question I'm seeing, will other experiences bring weight in your CV and jump into IT platform, or they'll not make any difference? This is definitely going to help. As I said, like, we hired one person from SBI who was having 15 years of experience. 13 years she was an accountant. 2 years, she uh, moved in SQL Server. We had to hire a SQL Server with a lot of experience. End of the day, experience matters, right? The relevant experience may be less, but your industry experience matters, right? The more experience you have, you're coming from a totally different background. Let's say you are coming from a mechanical background or from a civil background, right? And you already dealt with people, you already implemented a lot of projects. Project implementation is same, right? Whether it is in mechanical or civil, it's just the nature of the job defines that experience, right? So you come with an experience, and then you can easily. This is obviously going to help you out, right? So that you know there are two things. One is your overall experience, another is your IT experience. IT experience will decide your salary, but your overall experience, if you have multiple background and different experience, that will definitely give you weight, and people may consider you to hiring, because end of the day, they have to give you the salary, right? So they will give you salary according to the experience you have. Maybe you are a 15 years experience, but you are 2 year experience in an IT. So they may give you 2 years job, which is much more than what the job that you are doing, right? So much more salary than what you're doing in a 2 years job. But obviously you come with an experience, you definitely have an advantage over others, right? So that is one thing. I'm thinking of doing a career in Power BI. Is this good? Yes, Power BI is good. A lot of opportunities are there. As I said, like, Power BI is not just one tool, it's a database in the background, right? You need to learn about background. You need to learn about databases in the background. And that itself is like, if you search for Power BI on YouTube, you may get 2 or 3 videos. You may feel like, within 2 hours I can learn Power BI. No, there is a background. Power BI is a tool, right? You always need to connect to a database and then run the tools. So take some time, invest learning the database, and then you can also learn Power BI, and then you can learn about integrating a database tool with Power BI. Okay. Should I take any paid online courses, YouTube, Coursera, etc. are enough? It's up to you, guys. If you are self-motivated and you can take out time on a regular basis, obviously YouTube is there. Coursera, Udemy, these are professional courses, right? Udemy, for example, every other week, their courses are being offered for like 400, 500 rupees. 500 rupees, like if you go out and eat biryani, right? 500 rupees, 2%, 500 rupees is gone. Like, you buy a course, it's always there. And that course is already constantly updated. So uh, if you are self-motivated and you have an experience in the job, you can take that paid course. Paid courses are always better than the free courses. So take a decision about it. And and going to an institute is also better, but depending on the institute and their the person who is teaching, it also makes a difference. So take a decision based on that. But always paid courses are much, much better compared to the free courses that are available on YouTube. Okay. Uh, Second question. I have 7 years non-IT experience. I did Selenium in Java, but I don't have software testing experience. But employers looking for experience. Please advise how to deal with. See, you always need to put fake experience. Let's be very practical, right? You need to put fake experience, and most of the companies they used to do background, but right now most of the companies they are also not doing background verification, right? So depending on the nature of the project, you may need to put some fake experience. Reach out to some known companies or some companies that can provide you that experience, but you also need to be very careful that they are not very notorious in the market of providing. Fake experience, right? So it's a very um, confusing thing. You cannot uh, put real experience, but at the same time, when you put fake experience, you need to be very, very, very uh, practical about it. In the sense, like you just put you cannot just put fake experience for the sake of putting experience. You need to you need to invest some brain. You need to think about like which is where I know there's always uh, you can do that, right? So as I said, Selenium experience is what it matters, right? If you do some projects, like if you do some automation, you can do that automation sitting at home, right? And whatever the IT and non-IT experience you have, you can tell like we slowly started switching out to I know our company started switching out to IT infrastructure. We had 2, 3 people, and they asked me for like software testing. I did manual testing first, and now I learned Java and I did something. You can always make up stories as long as like you can put the experience in the same company. They will verify the company employment. They don't verify your experience, right? So you can always do that. Okay. So in the same company, you can say like you can create a relatable story, and then you can do that. Okay. Is I taking place of developers in 4 to 2 years? Um, Tricky question, but end of the day, it's a tool. Most of the things are getting generated, but recently, I know one person. He runs a company. You know, he with the help of AI, ChatGPT, he generated 2 or 3 stored procedures, and then he implemented in his website. And then after some time, after a week, I have to say not much more time. After a week, he got a different requirement to to add some additional functionality, and then he was not able to understand that code, right? And he tried giving to ChatGPT. ChatGPT was not able to give a suggestion, right? He was stuck with the initial suggestion that ChatGPT gave, and now he came to me and asked, like, I need help in debugging this code and rewriting this code. So you can take it for initial development, but to maintenance, you need to learn that. So AI is going to take place of developers. Yeah, initially it might take, but for maintenance, it's a tricky situation, right? So end of the day, people matter. Learn the technology. Be in that. Be a good person into that particular technology. Learn to be experienced in that. Okay. So currently I'm working on a voice support engineer call center application. I want to learn React.js. How was that and how was the future of React.js? Yeah, React.js is very good. Most of the companies are moving into React.js, but it's also JavaScript is there. JavaScript is a very tricky language, right? It's a non-typable language. If I have to say that, you won't understand it. But but the thing what I'm saying is it's a tricky language in the sense like uh, the more experience you have, the more you will see the flexibility of it, and flexibility comes with some loopholes as well, right? So because of the flexibility, it's easy to learn, but it also has loopholes, and the more you may need to learn more about React.js. But most of the companies right now they are moving into React.js as of now. I know for sure. Previously, Angular was there. Most of the Angular projects are getting to React.js, so it's a good thing. But invest some time, as I said, anything can be learned in 5 to 6 months. So React.js is also one of the things. Please learn it, and then but do invest time practicing on a daily basis. Anything that you do on IT, it's not a textbook knowledge. You have to have a computer, laptop, and you need to practice daily. That's how you learn it. You cannot just think like, no, I'll read about it and I can learn it. No, you have to do a hands-on experience on that on a daily basis. Okay. Uh, I'm working in an administrative department for last 13 years. I've completed BC. I want to switch my career to IT. Kindly guide the course or degree. Um, I I don't know what if you are into administrative. I don't know what kind of an administrative department you are, right? Um, if you are if you are from an administrative thing, you can always think about administrative things, right? Um, maybe Microsoft Azure, Amazon Web Services. These are all administrative things on an IT perspective, right? It's not um, void of IT knowledge, but it also requires IT knowledge. So try that and see we can do. But otherwise, when mostly after this 10 days, right, we'll start again our career counseling session. Maybe you can join at that point of time, and you can explain to me in a brief, not brief. We can discuss in detail, and I can guide you on that particular part. Okay. So I know, as I said, because it's the taste. What is that you are good at? You need to understand your own self. I'm good at one thing. I'm not. I'm bad at another thing, right? I'll suggest you which are I'm good at one thing, but end of the day, it may not work for you, right? So depending on your nature, depending on your interest, you need to take the decision. As I said, pick one, learn what YouTube videos, watch YouTube videos, see if you can do it. And good that you have done BCA because it gives you a perspective of what are all the things that are there coming up in IT, and then you can start learning. End of the day, you need to start practicing coding, and then you can think about switching over to your career. Okay. Same. I want to do a course in SAP, but I'm confused which module I should do. Simple, Sam. If you have decided anything in SAP, go and look for all the job opportunities in SAP, make a note of all the things that are there being asked, and depending on that, take a decision which one you want to do. Right? Anything you do, one suggestion I want to give you all is anything you do, go into depth of it. Right? Don't just skim on top of it and just learn for the sake of learning. Learn it as if you're learning and go deep. And multiple ways you can go deep, right? As I said, you learn the technology, you have receipt book, and then you can go for Google interview questions, and you can also look for Stack Overflow. If you go there and you learn if you search for any particular situations in that particular area, you will get a lot of questions they are facing the problems, and looking at the problems you can learn what all the things that are going to come up. Okay. So explore the opportunities, whatever opportunities are being asked more. You may want to make a note of all those things. Maybe one or two modules you be very take a decision and go with it. But whatever you take it, go depth into it, practice it very well, and then stick to it. Don't switch over after a month. People jump over after a month. that's not going to help. You need to be consistent in learning that. Okay. Now I'm going to another question. After 5 years of experience in manufacturing as a project engineer, I switched to IT about 2 years ago, post-COVID. Currently working as an associate project manager. I done well, but lately I feel stagnant. I'm looking to explore better opportunities. Most requirements in project management, technical skills, since I'm from a different domain. I'm not feeling but willing to learn. Should I look at learning some technicals or should I stick to upskilling in project management itself as PM2? Um, I see managing in IT always, if you have a technical experience, it it's going to help you. Okay. Um, if you have plans, or or I'll try to frame it in a different way. See, if you are enjoying your your coding experience, right? Whatever you do, try to do and try to go deep into what you're doing, right? If you're feeling stagnant, basically you might be doing project management things. Project management things are repeated things, right? But end of the day, technical is something that will give you more experience as well, right? So, see, I'm not saying management is bad, but at the same time, you need to have an appetite for that, right? So, if you feel you're not learning, maybe you are doing things which are repeatedly, maybe try to improve your processes, right? There are always ways to improve your processes. For example, project management, and if you're doing management only, learn about skills of management, like PMP is there, Agile Scrum Master is there, learn about those skills, but do it. But if you don't get an opportunity to work on that, maybe you can switch over to pure IT related work, and then you can start doing that, right? So I know I've given a short answer, but because of the time constraint, I'm not going too deep. Maybe we can connect later. And you join into one of the groups, and then or maybe in the particular thing, I have my LinkedIn link. Please connect to me on LinkedIn, and please maybe I can share you my number. We can talk on a personal basis. Okay, that's what was said. Sahel, I'm from Ahmedabad, currently working as a web support engineer in what reactors. This I already answered if I remember, right? Uh, Bijapuri, 9 plus of IT, 16 desktop end user computing. Now I'm trying to switch to cloud. I don't know trust Azure certificates in administrator, but even I'm not getting much shortlist or as beginner in the cloud. Is there any gap which I'm missing to enter into different domain? What else do you do or suggest? Please, yeah, as I said, things are going bad right now, right? Stick to it, learn Microsoft Azure. The more you can keep brushing up your skills, keep applying. I know things are not returning. Many people who are with experience are facing difficulty in switching over the job. But as I said, when there is a lot of demand in the market and supply is very less, scrutiny is also very high, right? So maybe because companies are putting hold on the jobs, that's why you are not getting calls. It's normal, very very normal, right? It is. As I said, things are going to turn. Start applying because you already have a job right now. You don't need to worry about it, right? Keep doing it, keep applying it, and start. Always keep brushing up your skills on Azure. Learn new things about Azure. When you get it, you will get it, and when you get it, you will always get about from multiple places. So don't lose your hope. Keep trying it out. But right now, because hiring is on a pause, you may not get that many calls as we used to get before. So do about it. Okay. Okay. I've been in tech for 9 years as a team lead, interest in Excel. Now wish to change IT. Please suggest. See, if you are good at in Excel, Power BI is also something that can help you out. But as I said, Power BI is related to databases, so you may need to learn Power BI with Excel. It provides like an Excel kind of an interface as well. But you can think about data analyst kind of a job where Python, Power BI, databases is something that you can try it out. Okay. As I said, try it out. If you feel it's not going to, I mean, you're not able to understand, take an immediate decision and try to learn, try to explore new things. Okay. Um, can you explain about digital manufacturing and the best course? Percy, I am sorry. I don't have much knowledge about that. Uh, but if you are part of MFIRD group, you can place this question and then you can get an answer. But um, uh, digital manufacturing, I'm hearing for the, you know, this is a new thing for me as well. I may need to learn about it, but as of now, I don't have any answer for you. Okay. I answered all the questions uh, on the chat as of now. If anybody has any particular question, and I know already I covered for 2 hours, maybe 5-10 minutes. If I can take anything, uh, maybe you can unmute yourself and ask a question. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up in 5 minutes. It's already 2 hours right now. Okay. Thank you all for staying back. If you feel to drop, please go ahead and drop. If you need any additional suggestions, please connect to me on my LinkedIn. Ask your questions because it's another 10 days will be busy because of Ramadan. I may not be active on LinkedIn as of now, but when I get a chance, I'll reply back and then we'll get on. Okay, so that's one thing. Anything? Okay, LinkedIn ID. Let me stop my share. Okay, and it's already there in the invite that you got, right? Hopefully, but anyway, let me try to paste it again. Where is okay, my LinkedIn? Okay, this is my LinkedIn profile. I'm pasting to everybody here. This is my LinkedIn profile. You can uh, uh, connect with me on that LinkedIn profile. And this is where, we upload all our recorded sessions. tinyurl.com/mfrd will take you to our YouTube channel. And all these recordings and all the recordings that we have done before are already available there. So as I said, multiple people have multiple questions. There was last, I think if I remember 2-3 weeks before, there was a very good high level session on the advanced topics of Excel. So somebody asked me about Excel, right? So there are things you can go and watch the videos out there and you can learn about it. Okay. But otherwise, thank you very much. I really appreciate you all sticking back for this long. I know this is a very long session, but at the same time, the strategy that is to be applied is not like a YouTube short or a TikTok or Reels kind of a thing. This is a long-term strategy. This has to do with your career. Whatever you learn now, if you invest about 5 to 6 months of your time, you are going to reap the benefits for another 10 to 12 years out of that. Okay. So think about a long-term strategy, learn the new skills. I know it takes time and just don't learn for the sake of learning. Be learn it in a very good way. Go into the depth of learning it. Okay. And I have given you the strategy. What are the things that are being asked? Make a note of it. Go into depth of it. Make a tick note of it. Go and do a mock interview about yourself. Go and take the interview questions. Apply it, and then you need to correct yourself. If you're not getting things, as I said, nowadays market is tight, very very constrained, but it's not going to last long. The more better opportunities will come. But it's a good time right now that you can start learning about it and make a switch over. People with very, I know many people. There are two ways of looking at things. One is a person who is hardworking. Another is a person who is smart working. Right. Uh, this is about hard working, right? Because if you're coming from a different background, you need to put a little long-term effort that you need to put. At the same time, you need to take a smart strategy. Okay, so once you do that, it's always better. There's always opportunities that you can get, but uh, be proficient in what you learn. Just don't skim on the top of it, and then don't be jack of all, master of none kind of a thing. Be a master of one or two, and then you can be a jack of any other things, and that would help you out. You cannot be jack of everything and master of nothing. Be a master of one or two things, and then obviously you need to be a jack of much more things where you need to know about other related things. But that is something that can be taken up in a career counseling session. Uh, we do generally from 3 to 4. We do that career counseling session on a weekly basis. but for the last 3 weeks we have been not been conducting. But after Ramzan, we'll start doing it at home, inshallah. Okay. Anything else? Otherwise, we'll stop this thing. I hope I'm able to give you some perspective. But as I said, it's very easy. It's just that I know you need to be consistent, perseverance, patience, and every day you need to invest some time learning about it. Okay. So that's it for now. We'll talk about later. Thank you all. Okay. If no other questions, we can all drop. If you have any questions, you can paste it on the chat. I'll try to answer it, but in about 5 minutes, we'll close the session. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
जी जी ठीक है
Jazakallah
Okay.
khairan.
Yeah, we have reached the end of the session. If no other questions, we are going to wrap it up in about 2 minutes. Thank you all for joining. We'll take it up later. This session will be recorded and uploaded in YouTube in about maybe a week or so. So you can always refer it back. Okay. Assalamu alaikum.